Hi, we're Group 28, and our debate topic is Information Technology Improves the Lives of Refugees. We are speaking against this motion. How do we measure progress? Is it usually in leaps and bounds or in small steps? As we progress forward and begin to understand the social and environmental impact of societal advancements and changes, it becomes clearer and clearer that small steps are needed to mitigate these risks. Large steps in change can result in cultural unrest, political upheaval, and in the worst cases, war. Human interaction by nature requires conflict. The world is becoming seemingly smaller with technology allowing access to immediate information from across the world. This allows us to monitor conflicts as they progress. More importantly, it allows more and more people to evaluate regions where conflicts result in persecution or where conflict is discussed and reasoned peacefully. Refugees from unstable regions typically strive to settle in stable countries. The ability to easily obtain information has led to an age of fast and accurate knowledge. This has many benefits, including helping doctors diagnose patients quickly, analyzing dangerous weather patterns, etc. However, when it comes to refugees, there are several instances in which information technology hinders their lives. Let us first draw a parallel to the Syrian refugee crisis that Canada is currently attempting to alleviate through global partnerships with its allies. The process to successfully relocate to a developed country is robust, complex, and extremely time-consuming. The over-reliance on information gathered by technology is one of the driving factors in the huge backlog. Let's consider one of the statistics for a Syrian refugee relocating to the United States found by Time magazine. Only 50% of the Syrians pass the screening process. Typically, processing time is about 24 months. Once a refugee arrives in the US, they are screened through 9 different American agencies. Now, obviously, the intent behind the process is noble, which is the protection of existing citizens from potential dangers. But clearly, 50% of the applicants can possibly be criminals or dangerous extremists. This means that there is a large proportion of honest working class families who are screened out of the heartless process simply because information technology has failed them. Simply relying on technology and screening processes to attest to the validity of a refugee claim ignores the possibility of a name mix-up or another severe error. An article by Global News reports the case of Syed Adam Ahmed, a 6-year-old Canadian who was on Air Canada's security list as a potential threat to public safety. It can be argued that a similar error could potentially put honest refugees on a security risk list as well. A potentially better alternative would be to follow the security process used in Israeli airports, perhaps, as noted by the Huffington Post. Passengers who enter an Israeli airport go through a series of quick interviews where they're evaluated heavily on visual and body language cues. This type of technique could provide a sort of fast track in the refugee screening process. The false rebuttal to this suggestion is that the humans are prone to bias. Technology, as we often forget, has been designed by us and also carries some of our biases, even if it's algorithmic.
One of the aspects of screening that we forget is that it requires a technological footprint. This means that somewhere information about this person exists that is deeply personal. Consider the situation where an organization with malintent could access this information and use it to harm a person. This is not science fiction. A German security software giant provides various governments with a software called Finfisher, used for remote monitoring and key logging targets. The organization rarely evaluates the legitimacy and manner in which these regimes operate. The article A Spy in the Machine by The Verge tells the true story of political activist Musa Abd Ali, who after fleeing to the UK from Bahrain continued to be harassed by his oppressors. Mr. Ali continued to act on his beliefs while living in the UK. He regularly participated in rallies calling for a more democratic process in Bahrain and less human rights violation. Mr. Ali's activities in Britain began to frustrate his oppressors in Bahrain, which subsequently led to several months of him being harassed and having his name defamed on the internet through the usage of the Finfisher software. His harassers used Finfisher to hijack his social media accounts and post highly inappropriate messages both publicly and privately to friends. resulting in huge deformation of character. This is a clear example of how information technology can result in challenges and a worse lifestyle for refugees. The fact that technology is so ingrained and paired with a person's identity allows for their character to be defamed quite easily. In the right hands, rarely do refugees leave their homes on good terms with their governments. Softwares like FinFisher is a result of information technology, and one of its very obvious features is to quiet political dissent, often refugees outside of their jurisdiction. Along with a noble intent to accept refugees in our society, there has been an expression of negative views against them. Information technology is the perfect platform to voice such strong opinions about refugees. Fox and Friends coverage shows a video portraying a group of people chanting Allahu Akbar, meaning God is great, as potential terrorists. This video is accompanied by the headline Terrorist Inbound? This coverage is stereotyping use of an Islamic religious chant as a terrorist slogan. It has been researched and proved that the original video used by Fox and Friends was actually recorded in 2010, which is well before Middle Eastern refugee crisis. This was a deliberate attempt to misuse information which is not only defames refugees but creates mistrust between local citizens and the refugees.
Similarly, the availability of information regarding new technologies can potentially lead to false refugee claims caused by envy of other nations' quality of life. Consider how cultural views are conveyed across the world. Two of the first industries that come to mind are film and music. Focusing on film, the vast majority of movies are produced and thematically set in the United States. As noted in the Cinema Journal by Ali, Hollywood has succeeded in selling America to the world. To take this idea one step further, Hollywood and its use of information technology has succeeded in selling the unsustainable American lifestyle to the world. Values that took hundreds of years to form are suddenly readily available to the rest of the world. These cultures then have to deal with large steps in societal change and implications. In short, envy. The information available to people around the world creates a false sense of what is normal and encourages people to view their own way of living as being oppressed. In this situation, we create false refugees who simply aren't satisfied with their own quality of life. These false refugees take away from the very real need for food and safety that other refugees desperately need. As George Orwell put it in his novel 1984, ignorance is strength. In this case, ignorance of what could be allows people to have the strength to be content in the situations they find themselves already in. Information technology has allowed for an overwhelming amount of available knowledge which can lead to a person's envy and demise. To summarize our team's perspective, information technology does not always improve the lives of refugees. As previously noted, there are several key points that lead to the conclusion that the advances in information technology could in fact hinder their lives. We discussed how the intense screening process and over-reliance on technology has cast out several genuine refugee claims. Similarly, the information available through technology can be used to defame the character of, or even physically harm, political refugees like Mr. Ali. Lastly, flaunting wealth and opulence throughout North American technology can lead to an unnecessary desire from other countries, yielding false refugee claims. Technology has certainly provided several fantastic advancements for our society, however, it cannot be always accepted as purely good and noble. The growing implementation of technological information must be considered with care, especially when dealing with some of society's most vulnerable people.